It is a scam when you don't allow everyone to operate on fair terms.
We are the Robin Hoods of sports betting. We take something back from the rich bookies and enable our customers to beat them instead.
G'day everyone, we are back. Episode 54 of the Trademate Sports Betting Podcast, here to preview the EPL as always, game week 4. We're moving quickly, already up to the round 4. We are joined, as always, George Gamble, card betting expert, the man that's full of stats. And I tell you what, mate, you picked out a perler last weekend. You just wanted I think it was 3 yellow cards you wanted, but you ended up getting 9.
Yeah, this thing is, it's one of those things I only needed 3. I had Fulham to get 2 and Villa. No, I had Villa to get 2 and Fulham to get 1. And it ended up being 9 cards. So, yeah, imagine the odds on that. It would have been ridiculous. But no, obviously I put together a preview and I had Stuart Atwell as a referee to look out for, as well as Aston Villa being a team to look out for cards. Obviously, combining the two, couldn't not have a go. And obviously it produced 9 cards. So, yeah, it was all good.
Yeah, no, it was a pearl, mate. And always joined by pro sports bettor Harout. And I should probably say off the top, mate, sent out a bit of stuff today, but we're doing a live Q&A with you next Tuesday, which I'm sure everyone will be very interested in. So if anyone's got some questions for Harout and can't make it for the live stream to send them in, then feel free to email me or send them to us on Twitter or customer support, whatever you want to do. But excited for that, mate?
Yeah, it'll be good. A lot of people always have questions on Twitter, so it'll be good to answer them in real time.
You seem very happy about that, mate.
Oh, I mean, it's just like when you get a lot of the same questions, it'll probably be more efficient to just be able to answer it in one place.
And I guess the other beneficial thing will be, if these people still ask you questions afterwards, you don't have to reply. Just post the link. That's all you got to do.
Yeah,
that's true.
That link will be your copy and paste for the rest of your life, mate. You just want to hope that I put some timestamps in it, mate, or else I'll be fucking fishing for a long time. I get so much hate on that. It's incredible. Like every podcast that I post up, if I don't put timestamps on it, I get an incredible amount of hate from certain people.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen it in the comments. People were saying that.
It's just, I don't know, it's just something that I don't really edit the podcast nowadays, but when I did, I was more so just listening and, enjoying my work, not really,
people are lazy. You've got to spoon feed them. That's what they want.
Yeah, I know, they're lazy. All right, fellas. 10 games as always. We'll only go through 3 of them. And then if there's any others you want to go through, any really good bets you like, we can go through that later, but the 3 games that piqued my interest, the 3 biggest games in my opinion, number 1, Leeds Man City. That'll be an absolute cracker. Goals galore, you would think. Arsenal, Sheffield United, and also Man United and Tottenham, one of the other great games of the weekend. Start with you, George, mate. Leeds versus Man City. Leeds at 9 in odds, 5.7 for the draw, 1.38 for Man City to get the win. Leeds continued their impressive run last week with a win over Sheffield, but they were actually beaten on XG slightly, which is quite interesting. But on the other hand, Man City had an absolute shocker, mate. First thoughts on that, mate? What did you think?
Well, first of all, before I dive into the absolute disaster class that is City, speaking of Leeds, obviously you mentioned the XG there, because I think there was a chance for Lundstrom for Sheffield United, and anywhere but at the keeper, and it's a goal, and he's just absolutely ruined the chance. So I feel like that might have contributed a lot to their XG. And then obviously Patrick Bamford snatching the end. I love Patrick Bamford. I love the way he just proves people wrong. Everyone said he's not a Premier League striker. He's going to be found out, and he's made the best possible start. They're a good side. Obviously, Bielsa sides are always very attacking. It's going to be exciting just to see Bielsa come head to head with Guardiola. It's well known how much they kind of respect each other and obviously like each other as well. So those two styles coming head to head is going to be a sight to behold, definitely. I don't think Leeds should be 9s. I mean, I wouldn't personally be going on the Leeds result, but if they're at that high odds, a double chance for Leeds has to be obviously a decent odds as well. I've not had a chance to look at that yet, but I just feel with City are so susceptible at the back in terms of their defence. They've not replaced Kompany. I'm trying to make sure I don't go on a rant here, but we've not replaced Company since he left. That, commanding figure in the back, someone who's vocal, someone who epitomises what it means to be at the club. We've not had that. We seem very much a team of sort of just nice people, and you need to have that ingredient of just being a bit of a knob and being a bit harsh at times, like to get, to win you games. And Company was that man. I'm excited by the sign of Diaz just from what I've seen. Again, I don't want to sort of say, yeah, he's the best thing ever, he's going to be class, build yourself up for a big fall, because the last centre-half we signed from Portugal did very well in his first game and then was just in Mangala, beast against Chelsea, and then just looked like he'd won a competition to play. It was horrific. But yeah, so no, it's our defence that worries me. It always is. I mean, when we obviously got absolutely trounced by Leicester, all the problems, well, I say all the problems, but a lot of it started when we took Fernandinho off, obviously to bring Delap in up top. No one does the Fernandinho role as well as him. Like, he's, I think, like 34, 35, and he's still so integral, which is both great, but it's also alarming because we're relying on a 35-year-old to be in that position. We've got Rodri, who doesn't read the game anywhere near as well as Fernandinho. Great player, but he's got great passing stats, but they're always either to the side or backwards. It's never a penetrative pass or a defence splitting pass or looking to make things happen. Like I said, he doesn't sweep up as well as Fernandinho. Gundogan's much of a similar ilk as Rodri. So I'd say we're still missing a decent CDM. Like I said, we've got Diaz at centre-half. It'll be interesting to see how he does. But when Laporte is in the side, we are a completely different team. We're so much more organised. So hopefully he can remain fit. And I think if he starts, then I think we'll still dominate the game. But with the way Leeds play, don't discount them scoring, just because even with Laporte, we've still got 3 other players next to him that are all very, very capable of making a mistake, as we saw. So yeah, there's going to be goals in this one. I think you can tell there's going to be goals, but we, as in City, we don't do well against teams that go on the front foot against us. It unsettles us slightly, and that's how Leeds play. That's exactly how they play. And given how thorough Bielsa is in his research of his opponents, yeah, I'd very much be wanting to see the price of a Leeds double chance. I mean, I hate backing against my own team, but though that kind of price, 9-1. What is it? Was it 8-1?
Yeah,
sorry,
9 in odds for Leeds. Yeah, it's pretty big.
It's like unless it's Fulham. Yeah. Unless it's Fulham, then I'm sorry, but that is overpriced for me. Like, that's ridiculous, especially the way Leeds play. Like, and the state that Man City are in at the moment. Yeah, we had a good cup win last night, but it's a cup competition against Burnley, and they didn't have all their players in, so I don't think you can read too much into that. But
playing for the Man City Cup, mate, they're always going to win that game.
That's it. Well, it pretty much is the Man City Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, but, until Arsenal beat you in a few months, mate.
We'll see when we get there, shall we? But yeah, that price, as you just said, is ridiculous. Again, obviously, at the moment, I've not got all my research to hand, but so in terms of cards, I mean, again, City are it's 1 week though, so you'll see 6 cards in the game. The next, absolutely no challenges going in at all. So I never like betting on City games for cards. But yeah, if I was to have a look at this one, I'd be looking at the Leeds double chance and maybe even the goals market, see what they're saying as well.
Have you seen any action, Harout, for either Leeds or, I mean, like we said, you would predict lots of goals in this game. Has there been any action on the goal line too?
Well, I mean, if you think that the current price on Leeds is kind of outrageous, then you would be completely in favor of the opening line, because Leeds, to win outright was priced at $11 to open. Wow. So it's dropped quite a bit. It's dropped to 8.2. I mean, that's pretty sharp. Like, to see that kind of a move in EPL, as I've mentioned, when a new team is coming in and they've gotten a promotion into the EPL, and you just get certain inefficiencies that can probably be captured. People see certain edges there that others might not, and it's significantly dropped. It's clearly been the play since the opening price, and the double chance is sitting at around probably around $3.50 right now. So it's not bad, but I mean, we have seen a bit of money on them already. I know we saw 7 goals in the first match they played in first week.
It was their first 2 matches. They won both. Yeah. Well, they lost 4-3 and won 4-3.
Yeah, so I mean, the goals market is at 3.5 right now, 1.9 both sides. That's the market consensus. So, I mean, I haven't seen that much activity there, but it is really interesting. There's been quite a bit of money on Leeds. in all formats.
But I do think maybe because of that, in terms of there being a lot of action for Leeds, is because that loss that Man City had to Leicester City was scrutinised to the ninth degree, in the media, like everyone was going in it, because obviously it is a shock. There were lots of shocks that weekend. So, but then you do wonder, is there movement because there's more being made out of that performance from Man City than there really needs to be? Every team has those off days, and we didn't obviously.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably that, and also how they played against them in the first outing in the first week.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, a combination of a lot of things. Market's always going to be priced based on the information that's available to, bettors and other people who are experts in the market. But there clearly has been money and support on them. I obviously, you're more of the expert on what happened in the past few weeks and such. But, it is interesting to me because to some degree, even when EPL markets first open up, they don't tend to deviate this much unless there has been like some big news that happened, players out or whatever. So it is interesting. It's worth definitely monitoring to see how low it can go, because as of right now, the market still hasn't reached. We're still far away from the closing line, so it's going to be good to see what happens here.
I mean, interestingly, for team news wise as well, I think that judging last night, obviously we had a relatively full strength side. Apart from Palmer, a young 17-year-old lad. Interestingly, Liam Delap was left on the bench, and obviously he's our only fit striker at the moment. So that says to me he might get a start against Leeds. So, and he's obviously a very good goal scorer. Keane, even when he came on against Leicester, he still hit the bar, he still looked dangerous. So, wonder what his odds would be to kind of get on the score sheet as well, because I'd imagine that he would potentially start.
That's very interesting. But wouldn't you say, Harout, that if it's gone from 11s to 8.2, has it paused, or is it still like trending downwards?
I mean, it's kind of paused, but the thing is, the action sometimes it just kind of trickles in. Like you don't really get like big bets going right now. It kind of just like the market shapes itself. But I think like when the line originally opened, that's when it got hammered. I think there were a few, the limits are obviously a lot less when the line first opens, but if you're dropping the price by that much, I mean, you obviously there has been altogether combined decent money in the market on Leeds already.
Yeah. Okay. And you got any predictions as to where you might put your money, if you do put your money down at all, based on what the markets are doing now?
I mean, I kind of missed this move. I didn't see it. There was just like a lot of EFL stuff going on. But
Drew won't be happy.
Drew's not gonna be happy with that one.
I'd be so disappointed.
But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is that when you see, I've mentioned this before in like previous weeks, when you see this kind of activity, it's definitely worth keeping your eyes on, because one thing that we can say for sure is that volume drives markets. So if there is activity on a game, especially if you're trading or if you're following, the market, it's gonna be good for you if it does revert, come back, or even go down any lower. It's one of those games where you just have to keep an eye on.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And any ideas for a bet here yourself, George, or I don't know. It's interesting to hear you say a bit of double chance play, mate. You're just about the most biased Man City fan out there. So there we go.
Oh, I won't go that far.
I'm joking, mate. I'm joking. I'm just trying to stir you up. I know it's late for you, mate. You can't pick sarcasm at this hour, mate.
I feel personally attacked. No, I do like the look of double chance, but at the same time, it depends. Again, it all depends on lineups. I think if Laporte's in there, it's weird because I can see it being a draw, but at the same time, I can see City going out, silenced everyone, and winning 4-0. Like you can never tell. But just at the prices, when do you ever get 3.5 for a double chance for a team at home? One that's as free flowing and attacking as Leeds are. But the other interesting thing to note, though, is obviously one of their more important players for them this season has been Jack Harrison out on that left flank. And he's ineligible because obviously he's on loan from City, we're his parent club. So it'd be interesting to kind of see if that kind of affects them, who they sort of bring in to replace that. So there's so many different variables, but I just think at that price, yeah, double chance would be one I'd be wanting to have a look at. Particularly as if, as obviously Harout said, that they opened up at, I can't remember what he said now, the opening price, but now they're down to like
11s,
8 or
yeah.
8.5.
Yeah, they open at around a little above 11
Yeah,
pounds.
and so that price is coming down, which therefore you think would mean it's probably going to continue going that way. Obviously, the nearer you get to game day, but obviously any other bits of news that come out could obviously mean that fluctuates. But yeah, I just think for me, double chance for a team at home who are in good form against a side who've just come off a walloping with a susceptible defence. It's a no-brainer. Like at that price, I think I'd have to have a go.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what happens, fellas. We'll move on though. Sunday game. I think it's one of the first Sunday games. Let me just check. No, it's the second. Oh yeah, it is one of the first Sunday games. Actually, no, I'm wrong. It's the second Sunday game. Arsenal, great introduction to this game. What a host this bloke is. Arsenal versus Sheffield United. I'm not sure if the odds have changed. I haven't checked since Arsenal beat Liverpool. I mean, it shouldn't change too much because it wasn't really their first strength team. But 1 point, yeah, well, it wasn't Liverpool's either. 1.58 for Arsenal, 4.2 the draw, 6.75 for Sheffield United. And I've just written down here that's been a pretty poor start, you would say, for Sheffield United compared to this time last year, 3 losses. But I think in terms of opponents, or maybe from an Arsenal perspective, I would say this game's like pretty nicely set up for them because they're a very defensively efficient side and coming up a side who I think, they continue to struggle to create when teams sit back. So in my opinion, I look at this game and I think, I'd be thinking unders and, I don't know. I lean kind of towards a draw because I'm pretty pessimistic when it comes to Arsenal against these kind of sides. Anything interesting here, mate, for you, George?
Well, again, I think Sheffield United, I'm trying to remember the stat, but Sheffield United have picked up bookings, I believe, in all of the games they've played this season. Again, Arsenal finished top of the disciplinary table last season, and obviously in terms of kind of the way they play. Sheffield United will play aggressive, but they kind of force opponents to be aggressive as well. So depending on who the ref is, I need to find that out first. I'm sure it's been announced, but again, I've not seen who that is just yet. I'll be wanting to see what the card line would be here, because I think anything, if it's around 3.5, I'd be tempted to have a look. But again, until I know who the ref is, I wouldn't touch that. But I feel like obviously, because I thought Arsenal would be dark horses this season in terms of finishing the top 4. Just because I really like what Arteta's doing there. They seem to be gaining an identity for the first time in a long time. Because under Unai Emery, the good evening merchant, you never really saw anything. It was just kind of a case of, I didn't see what he was trying to implement there. Whereas it's a very clear vision you've got with Arteta. Still gutted that he left City, obviously, but always wanted to do well. And you can kind of see what he's doing. So I feel like these are I know you're slightly worried about this sort of team, but you should have too much class for them. I think Sheffield United are suffering, it's too early to say, but they look like they're showing signs of having that second season syndrome. They're not picking up results. Teams have kind of found them out a bit. They were excellent last season because they were new. No one really kind of knew how to combat their aggressive style of play. But they were never high scoring games when Sheffield United were involved. So I agree with you on the unders. So I'd fancy kind of an Arsenal either 1-0 or 2-0. I'm not even sure I see Sheffield United scoring, if I'm being truly honest. It is at the Emirates, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I personally see, I'd go with an Arsenal win, and I do like the unders as well. So maybe even Arsenal winning under 3.5, something like that. I'd also have a look at the Sheffield United cards as well. But those would be my angles.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be really confident in saying Arsenal make the top 4 if in the next week we went out and signed Partey and OR. Like, that's who we've been chasing for the past couple of weeks, months maybe. And if we went out and signed those two, I'd be very confident that we could make top 4, even though I probably am a bit biased. But if not, then I think it's going to be like I think I'd be going from a biased point of view if I was saying I still think we can make the top 4 because, I just think we lack a lot of quality in midfield at the moment. Harout, any big pushes in the games, mate? In this game, sorry.
nothing like as good as the move we were talking about in the Leeds game, but it's funny how like the play that we think, should be the play is always like happens to be the play that's the opposite in the market. They've been hitting the overs a little bit in this game since the opening line, because it opened at around 2.05 for the over 2.5 goals. And it's dropped. I mean, nothing significant, but it's hanging at around 1.95 now. So, I mean, I don't know if it'll keep going that way or not, but that's the only real move that I see in this game. It could be contrary to popular opinion, but that is what I'm seeing right now in the market for that game. As far as like the sides go, I'm seeing a little bit of movement for Sheffield, double chance, but nothing really there. It's not a big move. I'd probably say the only thing to note in this game is how they've hit the overs a bit.
Okay, so any possible positions there, Harout, or where you think the money could go closer to kickoff? I mean, we are still 3 days away at this point.
Yeah, there's still a movement. Usually, like I've said before in the past, when you see movement on a total, it'll usually keep trending that way. That wasn't the case last week. But again, that's just those 2 games. Generally, if I see a move on a total early, I'll like to play that position and tail the movement in the market. But as of right now, since the move is not that big, both on the sides to win the game and the goals, I'll probably just hang tight and just monitor the market, see if I can find something closer to the start of kickoff.
Yeah, and what are the odds for under 2.5 at the moment?
The under 2.5. It's the same. It's 1.95 both sides if you're looking at like Pinnacle market.
Interesting. Just from a punter's perspective, I feel like I couldn't see more than 2 goals being scored, but I mean that's
because the under 2.5 opened at minus 117. I think that's like 1.85 decimal odds, and it's gone down to 1.95. But generally, when we see a move early like that, as I mentioned, you'll keep going that way. It'll tend to go that way. But like I'm with you guys. I've seen a lot of Sheffield matches, especially the one from last week. It was like one ended 1-0 against Leeds. So I don't know. It's tough to support the market here, and based on what we've observed. But I mean, it's one thing that you gotta pay attention to and respect the market, because in EPL, and beating the closing line is everything. It's more important than our own opinions, because the market's just so defined.
Yeah, you'd have to say it's one of the most efficient betting markets in the world. So if you can beat the closing line there, you're doing a bloody good job. Before our man George Gamble falls asleep, we'll move on to Manchester United Tottenham. I saw a yawn there before, mate. Don't you worry.
I'm good, mate. I've got my stack of fruit winders. I'm set for the night.
Just so people know, it's 12:30 in UK at the moment, or at midnight, not in the afternoon.
It's currently 12:30 in a very dreary, rainy London in a Travelodge hotel room. So
living the dream, mate. You're living the dream.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
All right, Manchester United Tottenham. Interesting odds, I think, for this one. 1.96 for Manchester United, 3.75 the draw, and 4.1 for Tottenham. I've just written down here, Man United haven't really been able to replicate the form that they did after the break last year. And Tottenham, on the other hand, are just the ultimate mixed bag, what they've probably played. If you exclude the Europa League games they played, I think they've just had every result that you could imagine: win, loss, draw, extra time, penalties. They've had everything so far. Lost to Everton, beat Southampton with lots of goals, and then they probably had their best performance against Newcastle last week, even though it was a draw. I'm pretty sure the underlying stats had them scoring a few goals. So they're a bit all over the place. What do you think, looking at these odds first off, George? Because the way I look at it is I just say I wouldn't touch Manchester United at 1.96. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think it's mainly, for me, it's probably to do with United's record against Spurs. You know, for example,
I forgot to mention that's the quiz question for the week, and you're probably going to spoil it. So I'm gonna bump in there now before you spoil
I'll be honest.
it, mate.
I mean, I will be honest with you. Obviously, we get, because basically for all the listeners, obviously we get the script of it earlier to know roughly what we're talking about. And the thing is, I thought, right, well, I've got some stats that I know, and then your quiz question was kind of to do with one of my stats, so I kind of knew it.
You've researched.
But
this
is the problem with research.
This quiz question's for Harout this week.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'll be there I'll happily reply afterwards, but we'll let Harout go first for this one. But do you want to do the question first, or do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have done it half an hour ago. But the quiz question is: when was the last time Tottenham beat Manchester United at Old Trafford in the Premier League? So, but yeah, sorry, mate. Keep going with all your research that you've done. Maybe just skip out the stat about the last time they beat them.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. But no, for example, none of the last 14 Premier League meetings between these two at Old Trafford have ended level. So, and that's with the Red Devils winning 11 to Spurs' 3, so they got the edge over them when they play at, well, I'm not calling it a Theatre of Dreams, I cannot do that, it's not that at all, let's be honest, at Old Trafford. But also, United have only lost, I think, both of their first 2 home games to a league season 4 times in history, with the most recent time being the 86-87 season. So not for some time. Tottenham have kept just 2 clean sheets in their last 27 Premier League away games, with both of those shutouts coming last season, and that was against just looking at Watford and Bournemouth, obviously, who both ended up being relegated. So they do concede goals going away to away. I think that's probably where the edge is. United, obviously, I'd say they had a good result. I mean, did we watch the game last night with how they've awarded that goal to Pogba? I will never know, considering it was pretty much going out of the ground before he took a deflection. It's a good job you weren't sat behind the goal, because you'd have got a wallop in the face. But so yeah, I think I'd say the impetus is with United. I think when it comes to playing Spurs at Old Trafford, they seem to have the edge. They just seem to have that know-how. And Spurs, they're the most, when I think of the phrase consistently inconsistent, I think of Tottenham Hotspur. Because as you've already mentioned, wins, draws, losses, penalty shootouts, like it's everything. Like,
have you seen the All or Nothing yet?
No, I've not seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
I just started watching it on Sunday, I think it was, and I'm about 5 episodes in. It's actually quite good, and it's only because Mourinho's there. Like, if it was old mate Poch there the whole season, you'd be very bored.
I'm so behind the times. I've not even watched the Sunderland one yet, but I know a lot of quotes from the Sunderland one.
That is fucking good. That's quality. That's quality.
Looking at transfer targets, why is Zlatan on my list? But no, going back to United Tottenham, the price isn't great, but personally for me, anything over evens for United, if you manage to find it, or if it goes out to that, I'd be having a go on. But below evens, I think that's probably about a fair price, so I wouldn't say there's too much value there. But for me, I think United would. My favourite would be United to win this one. As we said, Tottenham are inconsistent, but I think just United would have too much quality for them, particularly up top.
Yep. Okay. What do you think, Harout?
Well, Pinnacle opened 2.04 on Manchester United, so I mean, there's already a little bit of support on them. And like George mentioned, I mean, most of the time our views are in line because of the way this is kind of moved. I do think that if the movement's gonna take place, it might start happening later. And it hasn't deviated that much from the opener yet, so it's not like you're sacrificing a ton of value or getting leftovers of the line. If you can monitor and watch this one and it continues to trend and you jump in and possibly find something at the 2.0 mark, or maybe even like in the 1.97 to 1.99 range, I think it's a solid play based on the way the trend is going. Because you have to think in this spot too, especially like if you want to, be able to get a play in before the whole market's, steaming or moving in a direction really fast. You kind of have to gauge it and say, okay, what's what's a good bet I can place here that's most likely going to go in my favor as opposed to it not going in my favor. And that's kind of like one of the philosophies I use when I'm trading, is because I wouldn't be able to get, a decent amount of money down on a game if I just waited till the last minute and everything starts moving. So I think based on that philosophy, I think this game is a perfect example of that, trying to get ahead of the move. If we see a little bit of action coming on Manchester United, it's very, very possible for it to get more expensive closer to kickoff. So, like, if you can get a 2.0, I'd say it's a pretty good bet.
So right now, 1.96 or whatever it is on Pinnacle at the moment, is that something like what?
Yeah, 1.93.
Yeah, what are you waiting for right now?
Nothing really. I'm not personally waiting. I've already put in a few positions. I got 2.0, but based on my outs right now, I can't even get that anymore. There were 1 or 2 in Vegas available, but I'll probably have to do some shopping because I can't see any books that are on my software that have that price right now. But again, I don't have access to the amount of books that are available in the UK or in Europe for soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just having a look to see what the sort of best prices around are for United at the moment.
Yeah, I think I got 1.96 on Odds Checker, but that was about maybe 12 hours ago-ish, something like that. So
yeah, I'm on Odds Checker at the moment, and it's looking like potentially the best price. Yeah, it's already changes about 19 to 20, or 10 to 11. That's
19 to 20 is 1.98, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better.
You are.
I'm starting to understand American odds too. I've realised it's really easy to tell an underdog, but it's quite hard to do the favourite, isn't it? That's how it works, right? Yeah.
Well, I feel like in any of the odds formats, calculating the favorite is like much harder.
Yeah.
Because in American, you see like minus 200 or whatever, and you're like, what the hell does that mean?
Who the hell came up with that?
But like in reality, for our viewers, what it essentially means, if you see a minus sign in front of the number, 1, it's the favorite. 2, that means how much money you have to risk in order to win $100. So every number that you see available in the American odds market, if it's like minus 300, let's just say, you have to bet $300 to win $100.
Yeah. Typical
it's
America,
kind of complicated stuff.
They probably saw like these decimal odds, these fractional odds, and they're just like, we're the greatest nation on earth. We're just going to put in the best system possible, and we're just going to be a bit different.
Why have they always got to be different?
Yeah, they still use the what's it called? The number system that no one uses anymore, don't they?
It's like the martingale or something, I don't know.
Martingale. That's a stake. That's a staking.
No, that's like a staking method.
You spend too much of your life betting, mate. What are you on about? I hope you haven't been using the martingale strategy. That's a fucking terrible strategy.
Because I was about to say, because if we started discussing that, I was just going to be like, should I go or like?
But what is it? What's the American system called? No,
the American system is just called American odds. But one thing about the American odds is I feel like, because I have experience with both decimal and American, and I feel like for the purposes of like arbitrage betting, American odds are a lot easier to follow, in my opinion. Because if you see like minus 300, for example, as long as you know the plus side on the other team is higher than 300, then you have an arb. Whereas decimal, it's kind of like you have to run it in through a calculator or something.
Yeah, so I was talking about the imperial system. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
The US use that, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's not martingale. That's what I was referring. Because we...
I don't know what I was talking about.
Definitely not martingale.
So I was going to say, because if I'm on a podcast where it's like someone ever suggests using a martingale, I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
Stop what you are doing and reevaluate.
America using the martingale system.
Martingale is not that bad. in my opinion. But you have to look. I'll explain. Let me explain because this is a good topic.
Controversial. Here we go.
Look, martingale is good if you're running like a bankroll building system. Let's just say like you have like $300 where you don't really care. As long as the money that you're doubling the bet on, it's not really sustainable. Obviously, it's a bad strategy.
You just explain it in the best way. If you don't care, then it's great.
Yeah, if you don't care, then go for
system.
it.
If you could not give a shit about losing your money or not, then you crack up.
Absolutely. So I mean, if that's exactly what I'm trying to say. If someone comes in and is aware that hey, it's a high risk situation, and you don't care to blow it, then it's a good strategy for you.
All right, I love it, mate. I love it. Oh god, if Marius hears this, I'm gonna get fired. That we're talking about the pros of fucking martingale system. Okay, let's move on. So we've covered those 3 games. Anything? We'll go to you, George. Is there anything from the other 7 games that takes your fancy at all?
Again, I've not had too much of a look as of yet. I was kind of waiting on referees, and because for me the referees are kind of integral, because you can have, if you've got a referee that's just renowned for never dishing out any cards and with a low amount of fouls per game on average, I tend to just leave it alone. Part of me is looking forward to the Everton, Brighton and Hove Albion game though. I think that's a good, again, a dark horse for game of the weekend. Both sides doing very well. Brighton have been unfortunate in terms of a couple of their results because they're playing very well. So I'm interested in just kind of having a look to see for example, the referees in that one against, I think, Simon Hooper. But I think I'll be doing a little bit more of a look. But as games come back thick and fast, obviously you've seen on my page before, I do like kind of games of interest for that weekend. But now that other leagues are coming back into it, obviously La Liga and Serie A will sort of come into it as well. I've done quite well with them. But yeah, I think in terms of, I don't think there's anything else on the weekend in terms of the UK football that really takes my fancy too much. But just as a quick sort of guide to have a look at things, just look at the refs. Just focus on kind of refs. How many times if you're looking for a cards bet, whether it's both teams get over 1 card, how many times that landed in the games that they've refereed, and that sort of thing, and work out your averages and compared to the odds that you've got. And if you've got a slight edge, then it's a bet worth having. But I think the games that we've discussed to be the ones that I'd probably be focusing on from the UK. Yeah,
and you got your card spreadsheets, I'd assume, for the EPL coming back next week or whenever we come back from the international break?
It's ideally I want to wait until there's been around 5 games, because that's when you can sort of start to notice patterns. And so I believe we've had 3 match days, have we, so far? So it won't be long before they're back. So the League Un is going to be, I'm editing those tomorrow morning, along with the Scottish Premier League as well. So they'll all be up. So it's a long season. So the way I see it is missing 5 weeks or 5 match days when you've still got another 33 to go. Like, I'd rather not lose money in the first 5 weeks because I've got it wrong, or the stats from last season aren't relevant or pertinent to your bets. So yeah, it'll be after 5 match days that they'll be going up.
Awesome, buddy. And then anything from you that you wanted to shout out from the EPL that you're seeing in the markets, Harout?
No, honestly, the 3 games that we went over were the ones with the moves that were worth mentioning, because I did look through the other games and I didn't really see as much activity on those. So I kind of like the games we went over. I feel like for the viewers, those are pretty much the good ones to cover. Yep,
awesome. Best bets of the weekend. Best part of the podcast, fellas. We had a cracker last week. Had Georgie came through with a win. We had Ryan, who was on last week, who picked was Aldana, I think, to beat Eubanks, I believe. I was on that one. Thank you, Ryan, once again.
So I was on a double of Adesanya and that one as well, so that one came in for me.
Yeah. He was incredible on the weekend. He was superb. But yeah, to you, George. I didn't mention who. I think yours might have lost. Oh, you had under 3 Arsenal Liverpool, didn't you?
Yeah. No, yeah, I did. I called that one out on the podcast. It didn't even really close that well, so I kind of, I just said a few minutes ago that it wasn't, the total didn't close well, but I did play that one, and majority of the time, like if you see a move happen on totals early, you get it. But the stuff we went over with Ryan on UFC, that stuff was pretty sharp. Even like Vieira when he played it, like towards the last 5-10 minutes before the match, right before the match, like that thing went even more. Like there was just money coming for her. She just breezed through an easy victory.
Yeah. Ryan's very underrated. His MMA, he's got a lot of MMA knowledge, and very sharp, I would say. If you look at some of his results too with MMA, he posted them up today actually. I think he's got from 300 bets, not a huge sample size, but I think he's got a 15% ROI or something like that. So he's a good bloke to follow, and obviously we'll have Ryan on every time there's a big UFC pay-per-view card. Probably next time would be Khabib Gaethje, which would be very interesting.
That's good.
Yeah. Best bets of the weekend, George? Or best bet?
There's two I can't decide between, and it's really frustrating me. So it's either for me, for example, on Bet365, a match result, like a bet builder. So result would be Arsenal win and under 4 goals in the match is paying just over evens at 6-5. So I believe that's 2.2. And then, but likewise, got Man United score 2 goals at 5-6. But I think I'm going to have faith in Arteta and his men, and I'm going to go with the bet builder of Arsenal to win and under 4 goals at 2.2.
You're more confident than me, mate. I would have gone with the Man United bet, but with that Tottenham defence, probably. Harout?
Yeah, since we're doing an EPL podcast, I'm going to stick to EPL. I'll probably play Man United here. I've built some more positions on that because I didn't really get a whole lot down. Probably start shopping for some prices and see what I can get and try to buy, a few cents behind Pinnacle every time the market moves. But as long as it keeps going, I'm going to just, build more and more. I keep an eye there because I feel like it's going to go.
Yeah. I probably should have mentioned you can pick anywhere, mate. You don't have to pick EPL it's all about getting your best bet.
Yeah, for UFC, I'll tell you guys what I've also played. It's been actually a pretty substantial move as well. We have Casey Kenny for this Saturday UFC. I mean, the price is kind of deviated from the opener quite a bit, but you could still get some value if you're getting like 1.33. I would play it at that price even. I think it's still good. I think it's going to keep going.
What fight's that?
Casey Kenny playing against Oletang.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There you go, 1.33 and above. Take that any day of the week. Fabulous, fellas. If you want to find any of these guests on Twitter, you got at @CGeorgeGamble. As we mentioned before, he'll be putting up his spreadsheets in a couple of weeks, and once those are up, and you've obviously got them up for Liga at the moment, so give him a follow. And at BetLikeHarout for Harout Massoyan, and like I said before, we'll be back on Tuesday on our YouTube channel with a live Q&A with Harout. And you got any previews for We Love Betting this week, George?
I've got one for this weekend. Again, I need to double check which one that is. Tell you what, bear with me 1 second and I'll be able to tell you. Honestly, the organisation is just...
it's just superb. This is why we need a live stream, just so we can...
would you look at that? What was it I said? I reckon the dark horse for game of the weekend is Everton-Brighton, and that's exactly the one that I'm going to be doing. So I'll be doing a preview for that, which will be complete tomorrow night, and obviously will be posted either first thing Saturday morning, if not Friday night. So you can catch that on We Love Betting.
Awesome. All right, quiz answer. You get to answer this one, Harout, since I failed. It was just a spectacular failure. I should have picked this one from a mile away. That should have backed George to do some research and that he would have checked this one out beforehand. But what do you reckon, Harout? Last time Spurs beat Manchester United at Old Trafford in the EPL. I'll give you 4 options: 2012, 2014, 2016, 2018.
I feel like you might be trying to trick me, so I might have to go with the earlier year, the 2018. I don't know. I'm gonna take a guess. I think you might be tricking me, but I'm probably
Is that your
wrong.
final answer?
Yeah,
sure
I'm gonna just go with it. That way you can get it right.
You
What are
sure
you-
you don't want to change?
Nah, I'm going 2018. Just lock it in.
We
That's
gave
the
you every
million-dollar
opportunity,
question.
mate. Gave you every opportunity. Just remember that. George, mate, what's the answer?
Well, it was indeed 2018, and the stat that I had in the
What?
old brain box.
2018?
Yes, mate.
I thought it was 2014.
Have you got your own answer wrong?
Oh my god. We gotta shut this down. No more quiz questions in the upcoming weeks. It's over.
So Tottenham's last 6 top flight away wins against Man United have all come under different managers as well, in a run stretching back to Bill Nicholson in March 1974. Also Keith Birkinshaw in 76, Terry Venables in 89, Andre Villas-Boas in 2012, Tim Sherwood in 2014, and Pochettino in 2018.
Oh, mate, this
So
side
here's
must
what
be...
happened. Alex tried to trick me. I tried to get it right. George tried to trick me, and then Alex is the one who got fooled at the end.
Mate, I'm looking at this site. Oh, fuck. No, that's... No, this site's wrong then. Don't ever look up 11 verse 11. This site's rubbish.
No. Yeah, never use that.
That's rubbish. It doesn't say that... Yeah, it's saying 2014 for me in the Premier League.
No, I will use a different site to just cement.
That's fake news, mate. Honestly, I reckon
fake
it's fake
news.
news.
Right, I'm double checking
God.
this now.
It's fucking this
I'm
quiz.
just-
This quiz question is just getting worse and worse every week.
You've-
I'm never going to get a winner. It's so
Just had
depressing.
an
I'm gonna
absolute.
give you a quiz question on Tuesday.
You've had an absolute Lionel Blair.
So am I? Are you right, or I'm assuming you're right?
No, I'm right. 2018 Tottenham won 3-0
In the EPL at Old Trafford.
in the EPL at Old
3-0
Trafford. And
with fans
Lucas-
over there. That's pre-COVID.
Lucas Moura scored 2 alongside Harry Kane.
Oh, that wanker. Oh, that's the best. That's the best part of All or Nothing. Is his pre-game chats. They are just so ordinary. He says the same thing every time. He says
I was going to do an impression, but it's probably better not.
He says the F word about 20 times in 2 sentences. It's incredible. He's got nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I mean, you know when you've got a cold and you're like bunged up?
Yeah.
It's not motivational. It's
No.
not. Can you imagine Harry Kane in Braveheart?
Yeah, I know.
Like-
I couldn't take him seriously if I was one of the other players. Yeah.
I just felt sorry for Son just next to him. Like, probably, what on earth is he saying? Like, he's just shouting.
Because he doesn't speak English, of course.
Just Harry Kane, bless him, is not the most eloquent in terms of the way that he enunciates words. Let's go with that.
Yeah, no, I reckon he's just a typical footy head. If I had to guess, he seems like it from what I'm seeing.
Can we just appreciate the contrast there? I'm trying to fit in words like eloquent and enunciation. Like, just a proper football head.
I think he's headed that ball a few too many times, unfortunately.
Yeah, I reckon he probably did as a kid.
All right, let's finish up there before Harry Kane's on our case, because he listens every week.
Absolutely, top boy.
As I was saying, I've said a million times, there won't be a podcast on Monday. Instead, we'll do a live Q&A with Harout on Tuesday on our YouTube channel. Send any questions to just send it on Twitter or something like that. I don't really care. But yeah, thanks for listening. Make sure you do a quick rate and review of the podcast and subscribe to us. And if you're looking to implement some of the strategies, definitely not the martingale strategy, please start a free week trial of Trademate Sports. We're more of a fan of the Kelly criterion there. So if you're looking to do martingale...
Unless you've got $300 you just don't care about, in which case go for it.
Maybe old mate from, what's his name? Prabhav, the 1x2, maybe he should just... he can probably only use it once because it's a free bet, but just martingale the shit out of it.
Yeah, just a heads up, we covered the martingale today, so no martingale questions on Tuesday, okay?
That's going to be my first
Fed up
question.
being asked about a martingale system.
All right, fellas, tremendous stuff, and we'll see you next week. Maybe there's no EPL on, so I don't know what we'll do next week. Maybe talk about something else. If not, then we'll see you in a couple more weeks. See you later.